Airbag test number 3. 1. If your vehicle has an alcohol evaporator, it is there to reduce the risk of ice and air brake valves in cold weather. 2. The application pressure gauge shows how much air pressure you are applying to the brakes. 3. The most important thing to do when a low air pressure warning comes on is stop and safely park as soon as possible. 4. Your vehicle has a dual air brake system. If a low air pressure warning comes on the secondary system, you should bring the vehicle to a stop and continue only when the system is fixed. 5. If your truck has a properly functioning dual air brake system and a minimum size air tank, the air pressure should build from 85 to 100 psi within blank seconds. 45. 6. You should check that your service brakes are working properly. Park on level ground, wait for normal air pressure, release the parking brake, move the truck forward slowly about 5 miles per hour, and apply the brakes firmly using the brake pedal. 7. If you must make an emergency stop, brake so you can steer and your vehicle stays in a straight line. 8. When the brakes are applied, the brake shoe or linings are pressed against the brake drum or disc. 9. Under ideal conditions, a truck with air brakes going 55 miles per hour would require a stopping distance of more than 300 feet. 10. The use of air brakes on a long and or steep downgrade under normal conditions is only a supplement to the braking effect of the engine. 11. The air brake lag distance at 55 miles per hour on dry pavement adds about blank feet to your stopping distance. 32. 12. Repeatedly pressing and releasing the brake pedal may result in a loss of brake air pressure. 13. The air compressor should stop pumping at about blank psi. 125. 14. All air brake equipped vehicles have an air supply pressure gauge. 15. Emergency controlled braking is when you apply the brakes as hard as you can without locking the wheels. 16. The braking power of the spring brakes depends on the service brakes being in adjustment. 17. During normal driving, brake springs are usually held back by air pressure. 18. The safety valve is usually set to automatically reduce pressure at blank psi. 150. 19. If your truck's air compressor has its own oil supply, then should you first check the oil level? When should you first check the oil level? Before driving. 20. The emergency stab braking is when you brake as hard as you can, release the brakes when the wheels lock, put on the brakes again when the wheels start rolling. 21. Fanning air brakes decreases the air pressure. 22. The driver must be able to see a warning that is given before air pressure in the service air tank falls below 60 psi. 23. Of the choices below, the first thing to do when a low air pressure warning comes on is stop and safely park as soon as possible. 24. An application pressure gauge shows how much pressure you are applying to the brakes. 25. If you must make an emergency stop, you should brake so that you stay in a straight line and can steer.